With the New York Rangers front office looking to make a big trade to really make a big change to this roster and kind of switch up the core in man group of players on this team, one player they could look to possibly trade for from another team that is honestly kind of nearly in the same spot, not quite as bad in general as the New York Rangers, but in a spot where this season they're kind of falling out of reach of the playoffs and they're a pretty desperate team in general, and that is the Buffalo Sabres. And they have a player on their team named Dylan Cousins, who has been floated around in trade rumors, and with the kind of reports and kind of talk that's came out in the news and updates about the Buffalo Sabres and them kind of getting a little desperate here, and it seems like they want to make a move. As, for example, Darren Dreger, a very reputable NHL insider, he said on TSN's Insider Trading on an episode there that, Buffalo Sabres general manager Kevin Adams is aggressively looking to make a move. So with that being said, maybe there's a trade to be had here with Dylan Cousins getting sent over to the New York Rangers for some players we'll talk about in a little bit here. But taking a look at kind of who Dylan Cousins is, if you don't know much about him, Dylan Cousins is a very talented player. He is 6'3". He's a center and a winger, can play both, which definitely brings some extra value. Right-handed shot there. He is 23, does not turn 24 until February. He was, born in the Yukon there in Whitehorse, so pretty unique player there, obviously in Canada. He was the 7th overall pick back at the 2019 NHL draft. Very talented player at the junior level, play with Team Canada at the World Junior Championship, stuff like that. But this season, having a bit of a down season for his standards, having 15 points in 34 games played, 7 goals, 8 assists, -10. Not having the best season there, but obviously is, on the Buffalo Sabres, which definitely can hit your stats. But, the previous seasons, he's had 79 games played last season, 18 goals, 29 assists, 47 points. Not too bad. The previous season there had 81 games played, 31 goals, 37 assists, 68 points. That was his best season there, having, 31 goals, 37 assists, 30 plus in both categories is not bad at all. So he has been a guy who has obviously the ceiling and potential to be a 30-goal scorer and be upwards of maybe 35 goals and 40, 45 assists as well. He has that kind of point per game kind of around there potential for sure, while playing a nice two-way game there. Can be a pretty physical guy as well. I mean, so far this season has 75 hits in 34 games played. For a center, that's not too bad at all. Last season, 108 hits in 79 games played. So he is a pretty physical guy as well. We saw that at the junior level and kind of lower levels as well. He is a guy who plays with some energy, goes out there looking to hit, and obviously with the puck there can make things happen as well. So he's a talented guy offensively, plays pretty physical, is a decent face-off guy. Not the best face-off guy career-wise, not the greatest, 46.9%. His overall so far this season, though, 48.9%. So that's not too bad in general. I think he is a really good, center when he plays center, obviously, but also being able to play wing as well provides that kind of value. And the other value of, I think, Dylan Cousins is the fact that he does have some more to his game. I don't think where he's at right now is where he can possibly be, even kind of what he's shown, a couple seasons ago, hitting that 68-point mark there, having 31 goals, 37 assists, 30 plus goals there. That's a great milestone, but I think he can hit higher marks than that. I think he is a kind of guy who maybe will have, an 80, 90, 95-point season here or there throughout his career and kind of be around that point there if he can kind of hit his ceiling. He is one of those kind of guys, in my opinion, at the junior level there, had a lot of potential, really kind of showing that maybe he can be an actual kind of star level guy at the NHL level. And I think he can. I think he can be a, star kind of guy making all-star games. And I'm not saying that's really what matters and kind of truly being a star, but you know what I'm saying? Making those all-star games there, being a true kind of star level kind of guy, not a superstar, but a really good star level player who can be a great top six forward, whether it's on the wing or at center as well. And that's kind of the bonus there with him, is maybe you want to have him on the wing and you want to have him at center. I mean, that's kind of the plus that he has to his game there. I think that's a great added ability. So the versatility is nice. And, having that extra kind of hustle to his game there, the physicality that he does have in his game there, a bit of grit as well. I mean, I think he's that kind of guy that you want to have on your team, and maybe at moments you don't like playing against. So he's got a bit of that in him as well, which we definitely know this Rangers team needs more of. With that physicality, he's a pretty good mix of player there, and if he hits potential, he can truly be a star-level player. And now taking a look at Dylan Cousins' current contract, and originally he did sign a 7-year deal worth $7.1 million, but the first year of that deal was last season, so he has 6 more seasons remaining, including this one currently, with a cap hit of $7.1 million, and the last 3 years of this deal does become a modified no trade clause with only 5 teams on it, so it's not too bad at all. So basically 5 more seasons after this one currently, with a cap hit of $7.1 million. I think for what he can bring potentially, that's an amazing deal. I mean, if he hits his absolute ceiling, it's going to look like an amazing contract, kind of like that Lafreniere deal. And the same thing with the Lafreniere deal. Well, if he doesn't hit his absolute peak, but he just becomes a really good player, really good kind of top 6 player, then that contract is still going to look pretty good. So I think in general, this is a player who, if we can go out there and get, I definitely want to trade for. And the big kind of question is, how much do we have to give up to actually get Dylan Cousins? And I think that's a question that maybe gets answered by Filip Chytil and or K'Andre Miller. Now, I think it very well may end up taking both, and that kind of depends on how much value K'Andre Miller has. And I really don't know how to answer that, because I have no idea what these NHL general managers actually value a guy like K'Andre Miller, and even Filip Chytil as well, because you got to value in, the concussion problems, the injuries, and the time away from hockey that he's obviously had, especially, last season there. We saw that big time where he missed a ton of time there, missed a lot of time in the playoffs as well, and obviously he couldn't really get going in the playoffs there where we needed him, but he couldn't get going there because of all that time missed there, which you can't really get mad at him for, but it's obviously a thing that he does have, the injury. So how much value do Filip Chytil and K'Andre Miller have? That's a question that I don't know. They're both kind of in their mid-20s now. They're pretty much the players that they're probably going to be, right, for the most part there. I think K'Andre Miller, you still have that kind of hope there that he can figure it out and blossom into this top pairing caliber guy. But at this point, I'm not quite sure. But maybe, maybe Kevin Adams, the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres, believes that, Miller can be that guy. So maybe he is very interested in K'Andre Miller and to obviously get him on his team there. So maybe there's some decent value. Maybe. Well, we'd have to wait and see, obviously. But obviously a guy like Chytil there as well. I think it makes some sense there to see Chytil go in a trade if we are going after Dylan Cousins, because Cousins is a guy who can play a bit of center, a bit of wing. Obviously, they're somewhat close in age there. There is some term, obviously, on Cousins' contract quite a bit. There's still a bit left there on Chytil, not a ton, obviously not as much as Cousins, but still a bit left. So he's under contract currently. He's in his mid-20s. He can play center. He can play wing. Chytil's obviously a pretty talented guy. Not the greatest face-off taker, just like Cousins there, but Cousins is a bit better, obviously. Either way, though, I think it kind of makes a little sense there to see a guy like Chytil go in a deal for Cousins, and I don't think, Miller or Chytil alone is nearly enough for Cousins. I cannot imagine that. So, as a Rangers fan, would you personally, definitely comment down below your thoughts as well. Would you make that trade? K'Andre Miller and Filip Chytil for Dylan Cousins? Would you want back like a, 4th round pick or a prospect or kind of another body alongside Cousins to make that deal happen? I'm kind of curious there, because I think that's, maybe not enough value. Maybe it is. I wouldn't be surprised even as well. I think Cousins is a talented guy. I'm sure Kevin Adams values him a lot, but considering how desperate he may get, does he really kind of look to push a trade there and make it happen with Cousins there, where he goes out the door, he gets a guy like Chytil back there who can pretty much fill in the spot of Cousins. You also get back a guy with some potential there, some talent in K'Andre Miller, although it's inconsistent. He's got that talent. So does he kind of bank on the talent there with K'Andre to kind of hopefully work out and for him to be a just season in, season out kind of really good top 4 kind of guy possibly on the back end? Maybe that works out there. And Filip Chytil can obviously be a really good kind of middle 6 center there. If he's on your third line and he's just center there or possibly a winger, he's a great third liner, really, really good third liner, or he can be a good second liner as well, I think. So he's obviously a valuable guy possibly. So do we see something like that happen there? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think this could kind of make sense for both teams there, where we're both kind of in a bad spot here. Obviously, maybe we're not as bad off right now because, we have made the playoffs within the decade. But It definitely seems like the Rangers want to make a big move happen there. Chris Drury seemingly looking to make a kind of big shakeup with this kind of core. And, trading away Hedel and Keandre Miller definitely is a pretty big shakeup for guys who have been a part of this kind of core and, the long-term vision of this team in previous seasons, stuff like that. So that would be a pretty big shakeup there, trading away both those guys. Maybe it is more. Maybe it is a second rounder or a prospect or I can't imagine maybe a first. I can't really imagine quite that maybe, but obviously maybe it's another picker or a prospect or picking a prospect, depending on what it is there. On top of Hedel and Miller, that'd be interesting. But I just think it makes a lot of sense there. We are a team who is looking to make a big move happen. So are they. Seemingly, they need to make a big shakeup there. They've been awful for so many years. They got to try and make the playoffs. They're falling way back this season right now. So they are really, really desperate, it seems like, to make a big trade happen. I mean, Kevin Adams, he's got to be getting a little worried here soon. So I think they're going to make a trade, or at least going to try and make a big trade happen. Make it with the Rangers. Why not? It makes sense there. I mean, obviously in the same state there. And at the end of the day, we're both pretty desperate right now. We're both not in a great spot. And we both have pretty good, talented young players who are in kind of in their mid-20s there. So it definitely makes a lot of sense to possibly make a kind of a swap here and maybe picks and prospects or other players go the other way as well. But these three players could be a pretty good kind of base package, I think, for a trade to happen between the New York Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. I did want to say Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, happy holidays to all you New York Rangers fans out there, whatever else you celebrate. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate all the support that you do all show on these videos. It truly does mean a lot. So I want to thank you all out there, because all you do out there, whether it's liking, commenting, just watching these videos, subscribing, it helps the channel out a ton, helps grow it, gets it out to more New York Rangers fans. It means a lot, and I definitely enjoy making these videos. So thank you all for all the support that you all show, and happy holidays. But anyways, definitely, like I said, comment down below your thoughts, hit that like button, subscribe. I'll catch you next one. Let's go Rangers, and hopefully, maybe Santa has a nice little Christmas present, nice little trade here maybe coming up for the New York Rangers to help us turn around this terrible, terrible season. And maybe Dylan Cousins could be that nice little present.